This is a soft tissue anatomy review of the wrist and hand with focus on the carpal tunnel and the nerves that distribute to the hand. The three terminal branches of the brachial plexus that supply motor and cutaneous innervation to the hand include the ulnar nerve, the median nerve, and the radial nerve. The ulnar nerve, seen on the medial aspects of the forearm and hand, is going to innervate along with some of our intrinsic muscles, our flexor carpi ulnaris and flexor digitorum profundus, with tendons to the fourth and fifth finger. You can see its track runs right through and in between the pisiform and the hook of the hamate here. This is a structure known as the tunnel of Guyon, which is by far one of my favorite anatomical structures just because it seems fun to say. This is a common site for ulnar nerve compression, especially in individuals partaking in sports such as cycling, where you're consistently putting pressure through that aspect of the hand. Looking on the lateral aspects of the forearm, wrist, and hand, the radial nerve, seen here. This will innervate our wrist and finger extensors and supply distribution to primarily the dorsal aspects of the hand. Do notice its more dorsal track along the lateral forearm and into the hand. It's less likely to be entrapped or compressed at the wrist and hand than the other two terminal branches. But as we previously discussed, it can be commonly compressed more proximally at the elbow. So let's remove those nerves so that we can focus on the third terminal branch that supplies the wrist and hand, which is the median nerve. The median nerve, of course, is of clinical significance because it runs through the carpal tunnel and therefore is a common site for compression. The median nerve is going to innervate the deep flexors, except for the flexor carpi ulnaris and the tendons of the flexor digitorum profundus that go to digits 4 and 5, which of course are going to be innervated by the ulnar nerve. And then cutaneous distribution to the palmar aspect of the hand along the first, second, and third fingers. As you can see, its nerve distributions here. The carpal tunnel itself is an interesting structure for which we'll discuss in a little bit more detail later. Its floor is going to be the proximal carpal bones, and its roof is a ligamentous structure known as the transverse carpal ligament, spanning from the pisiform and hook of the hamate over to the tubercle of the scaphoid and the trapezium. Sitting within the carpal tunnel, if we look at it longitudinally here, we have the median nerve, the flexor digitorum superficialis and its 4 tendons, the flexor digitorum profundus and its 4 tendons, and then the flexor pollicis longus tendon. So 9 tendons in total and a nerve. Let's go ahead and see if we can dissect out a cross section for you. And we'll go ahead and highlight our muscles here in a nice red color so that you can see them. There we go. So again, you can see here the carpal tunnel comprised of the proximal row of carpal bones the roof being the transverse ligaments, and then within the carpal tunnel, we have tendons of the flexor digitorum superficialis, the flexor digitorum profundus, and the pollicis, or flexor pollicis longus, excuse me, and the median nerve.